If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
How's it going, everybody? It's C-RadTV back here in another video. So, of course, it's time to continue on to What If NASCAR Had the F1 Points Format series. So, the last time in the series, we started taking a look at the Whelen Modifieds Series in the 1980s. About as far back as we possibly could. And we learned that next to nothing would really change under the F1 Points formats in the 80s in Whelen Modifieds. And in this part, we're going to continue taking a look at the Whelen Modifieds Series now in the 1990s. To see what would have changed and what would have stayed the same if they used the F1 Points format. So yeah, of course, and before we start this vid, of course, make sure you also check out the official NASCAR with F1 Points Twitter and Instagram pages for exclusive NASCAR with F1 Points content. I always post new content there every day, so if you want to go check those out, make sure you do that, please. If you want, up to you. So yeah, anyway, continuing on now. On the screen here, of course, we're going to take, here are the points formats we're going to be taking a look at with this series. So yeah, we all know this points format. We've gone over it so many times throughout the series. So yeah, you should know them like the back of your hand at this point. But anyway, before we continue on though, let me once again stress out that this is just a hypothetical scenario. I know everyone would have raced differently if they used the F1 points format. This is just for fun. So now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. So the 1990 season, it was all about Mike Stefanik. Mike was just a class of the field all year when it came to speed and consistency, and no one was on Mike Stefanik's level in 1990. And under this format, Mike Stefanik would easily cruise to the 1990 Modifieds Championship. So in the 1991 season, it was a two-man battle for the championship between Mike Stefanik and Jeff Fuller. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. It was a very close championship battle between the two that in the end, the championship will go all the way down to the season finale at Martinsville Speedway, with Mike Stefanik entering with a 3-point lead over Jeff Fuller. So Fuller needed to finish a couple spots ahead of Stefanik or win the race to win the title. Stefanik either needs to just finish ahead of Fuller, at least ahead of Fuller, or finish at least right behind him as to win the title, as long as Fuller didn't win the race. In the season finale at Martinsville, both Stefanik and Fuller ran up front for majority of the race, but in the end, Jeff Fuller would finish third in the season finale, while Mike Stefanik would go on and win the race at Martinsville. And that win would be more than enough for Mike Stefanik to edge out Jeff Fuller for the 1991 championship by 9 points. So Mike Stefanik would still win his second Modified Championship under this format. So the 1992 season, it was all about Jeff Fuller. Jeff Fuller was just a class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Like nobody was on Jeff's level in 1992. And Jeff Fuller, he would go on and easily cruise to the 1992 Modifieds Championship. So the 1993 season, it was a three-man battle for the championship between Rick Fuller, Reggie Ruggiero, and Jeff Fuller. Those three were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, both Jeff and Rick Fuller would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Reggie Ruggiero would take full advantage of him with pull away late in the season. And Reggie Ruggiero would lock up the championship with 2 races to go under this format. So Reggie Ruggiero would win the 1993 Modifieds Championship under this format. Now, Jeff Fuller would have a solid run to end the season, but all that solid run did was just make the championship look a lot closer than it actually was. So in the 1994 season, it would be a two-man battle for the championship between Reggie Ruggiero and Jeff Fuller. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Very close title fight between the two that in the end, the championship will go all the way down to the season finale at Thompson Speedway, with Jeff Fuller entering with a 7-point lead over Reggie Ruggiero. So for Reggie Ruggiero, he would effectively have to win the race and would need Fuller to finish 5th or worse to have a shot at winning the title. Jeff Fuller, he would win the title regardless of where Fuller finished, if he finished 4th or better, or if Fuller finished 2nd or worse. So in the season finale at Thompson Speedway, Jeff Fuller struggled throughout the race, missed the setup completely, and Fuller, he would end up finishing in 12th, well out of the points. So it was set up at the end to where if Reggie Ruggiero could win the race, he would have won the championship. In the end, Reggie Ruggiero would fall well short of goal by finishing in 3rd. And that 3rd place finish means that Jeff Fuller would end up edging out Ruggiero for the 1994 Modifieds Championship by 3 points. So Jeff Fuller would be your 1994 Modifieds Champion under this format. So in the 1995 season, it would be a two-man battle for the championship between Steve Park and Mike Stefanik. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Mike Stefanik would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Steve Park would take full advantage of it with pull away late in the season. And Steve Park would wrap up the championship and lock up the Modifieds title with a race to go in the season. So Steve Park would win the 1995 Modifieds Championship under this format. So the 1996 season, it was a three-man battle for the championship between Tony Hirschmann, Steve Park, and Mike Stefanik. Those three were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Mike Stefanik would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and he would be eliminated with a race to go in the season. So in the end, the championship would go all the way down to the season finale at Thompson Speedway, with Steve Park entering with a 4-point lead over Tony Hirschmann. So for Hirschmann to win the title, Hirschmann would need to finish a couple spots ahead of Park to have a shot, while Park just either needed to stay close to Hirschmann or finish just ahead of him to win the title. So in the season finale at Thompson Speedway, Tony Hirschmann struggled throughout the race. His team missed the setup completely on the car, and he would finish in 12th, while Steve Park would do everything he needed to win the title, and Steve would end up winning the season finale at Thompson Speedway, and that win would be more than enough for Steve Park to win the 1996 Modifieds Championship over Tony Hirschmann by 14 points. So Steve Park would go back-to-back under this format in 1996. So the 1997 season, it was all about Mike Stefanik. Mike was just the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Like, nobody was on Mike Stefanik's level in 1997. And Mike Stefanik would easily cruise to his 3rd Modifieds Championship under this format in 1997. So the 1998 season was just a repeat of the 1997 season. Wash, rinse, repeat. Mike Stefanik easily cruises to his 4th Modifieds Championship under this format in 1998. For the 1999 season, it was now Tony Hirschmann's turn to kick the field's ass, as Tony Hirschmann was the class of the field in terms of speed and consistency, and no one was on his level in 1999. And Tony Hirschmann would cruise to his 1st Modifieds Championship under this format in 1999. So yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for this part of the What If series. So quite a few things would have happened for sure under the F1 points format in the modified series in the 1990s. So in terms of championship battles that went down to the season finale, we had 3 title battles go down to the season finale. And under the F1 points format in the 90s, we would have 5 title changes under the F1 points format in the 90s. And those title changes taking place in 1990, 1993, 1994, 1995, and 1996. So quite a few things would have changed for sure under the F1 points format. Like a lot of things would have changed in modifieds under the F1 points. Some things stayed the same though. But yeah. And we had a lot of seasons where one driver just completely ran away with it in a number of seasons in the 90s. But yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for this part. So yeah, the next part of this series, we're going to continue taking a look at the modified series by taking a look at the modifieds in the 2000s to see what would have changed and what would have stayed the same if they used the F1 points format. So yeah, anyway, and that part comes out depending on how fast I make them. So yeah, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here. That's all I got to say. Hope everyone's a great day, and I'll see you on whatever I make next. Peace.